All right. We are online and just making sure I'm audible, visible. I'm opening up the chat. All right. We are online and just making sure I'm audible, visible. I'm opening up the chat. All right. We are, okay. Cool. All right. Welcome to Unlocking Emotional Intelligence Through Brain Skills. It's a series for 100 episodes, and we are on episode number 61 officially. And we're going to be talking about in detail about this particular skill called adaptability slash flexibility. Um, in the post-pandemic era, we are all, fast-pacing and highly competitive. The world has changed. It's not the same any time before how we were, the pre-pandemic. It's no more the same. And a lot of industries have gone hybrid, which means they're not only relying on their physical existence, the location based stores or companies, factories. They also have a digital presence, and all industries are trying to embrace technology. AI is disrupting, and even education system is going through a reformation. On that note, I am also on a mission to help 1 lakh women raise their emotional quotient and digital entrepreneurship. And as a collective, community, we're all working towards reforming the education system by educating each other, not just a student, also adults, to make sure that certain reformation happens individually and as well as collectively. On that note, this particular series is also an initiative to help you raise your emotional intelligence, especially through brain skills. And we're talking essentially about how to activate your logical brain, left brain, and the right brain, and also the midbrain, because midbrain is where the prefrontal cortex meets up, and that's the executive center for decision making. If you are an emotionally intelligent person, you must be making greater choices in life. Okay, that's one of the symptoms if you are highly emotionally intelligent. In fact, this 100 episodes is packed, power packed with 4, 5, table of contents. We will cover with the definition of a particular skill that we will be speaking in each episode. In fact, we span out that particular skill into 4, 5 episodes because we want to dwell deep into it, especially when I'm doing a presentation in YouTube. I'm also doing the same thing in podcast in a very short version. On the fly, on the go, you can listen to it. On that note, if you're still not subscribed to my YouTube channel, do so that you will be notified on the other live programs and videos. Subscribe to my Spotify as well, so that when you miss this episode, you can always listen to that. So that being said, we are essentially talking about 4, 5 topics in each episode. We'll talk about particular skill, angling to a parent, entrepreneur, leadership, leader, high stake leaders, professionals, school student, career graduate. Typically, everybody needs emotional intelligence. More than ever, it is the highly demanded 21st century skill. So gone are those days where the priority for emotions was not given. But I think it's more important to start with our small children at home. It has to, emotional intelligence has to start from home. Charity begins at home. And then, they need to be well versed with emotions. They need to know how to handle their emotion. We are right now in the mental health pandemic to combat the mental health challenges, not just with an adult. It is also possible that even a small kid goes through a lot of emotional problems, emotional anxiety. So that is why pandemic doesn't belong to a particular group. It pervades to all group of ages. So before it gets into the pandemic level, it is important to curb, and you can take these episodes as a proof of concept that we are we don't want that to happen. We don't want that to happen to ourselves, to our kids, to family, to loved ones. Neither we want this to happen to anybody else. So on that note, also do share if these episodes do resonate with you. Please don't stop yourself. Share it with somebody whom you think it's most needed. Okay, let's see what we've got for today. I'm going to be sharing my screen, just making sure my screen is visible and clear enough. All right. Super. So when we talk about adaptability, we are, I think this is the third episode on adaptability and, third or fourth episode. From the beginning, we have been covering a lot of important key skills. If you haven't, watched those episodes, I would highly recommend you to do so. We started off with resilience, talking about resilience in depth to different domains of people, different walks of people. How can they, make use of these resilience skills? And then we spoke about creativity, proactivity, emotional agility, emotional insight, empathy building, problem solving, and we also saw a detailed, episodes on decision making. Okay, and then we are right now dealing with adaptability. So on that note, adaptability quotient is more important, and it is a subset of emotional quotient. Um, we have gone through pandemic. It was a shocker for the entire planet. Okay, people who lived on this planet, we did not forecast this. We did not anticipate this, the severity, and a lot of people have lost our loved ones, a lot of losses in terms of business losses. Um, you know, Many things we have, come across, and we are resilient on that note. Human beings are always resilient. But are we going to repeat this, you know, and are we going to repeat those patterns which, um, made us compromise or made us to an extent that we've lost a lot of things because of the inability, the gap. And ideally, it happened because we were not able to adapt to a new situation. Okay. So the world is not the same before pandemic. When I say that, people who adapted to its, trend, to the way the world wants to operate, they survive, they flourish. People who don't want, full of resistance, they want to stay with the conservative, the same old traditional methods of approaching life and business and work, they are at loss. They're already lost in the game. So adaptability caution is more important, for any age group, even a school student, right? A student needs to have that adaptability quotient in their academics or in their life, in their friendships, in their associations, in their growth, right? And today we will see an angle of adaptability in relationship and how is it going to, flourish in our family life. So it is key skill to build strong relationship and family bonds as well. You will see the adaptability churning in different components in life itself, because it is important to take a note of what is happening around us more than looking at the outside world. It is very much possible as a skill, as a as a theme. Emotional intelligence itself is not a outside study. It is always within us. So the wisdom is within us. So how are we going to tap into that power? By making use of that nearby influences that we have got. So we will strike a balance in terms of understanding adaptability as a general definition, brain skills definition, how your brain approaches, and then we will also see the pros and cons of having this skill, and importance of the skill, applicability, where can you apply? Of course, in family life itself, there are different domains. So we're going to see where we can apply all that. And we will also see a case study who have, modeled this successfully. If it is working for them, it should definitely be working for us as well. So we're going to take all those examples and strategies. Okay. Slowly we will build this concept. Now we'll see. In fact, you're going to learn practical ways to evolve family and relationship dynamic with empathy and balance. And then we will see how to communicate openly and set boundaries with while remaining flexible and supportive. So there are some inspiration that we can gain by looking at successful people, and there are some strategies that we can make use of it. Because I'm going to be discussing the brain hacks also. You may be a left brain driven. You may want to fill in the gaps of trying to understand how your right brain can be activated, or vice versa. Or you may want to sometimes blend both these data. So that means your midbrain also have to be activated. So we'll see that as part of brain hacks session. And then we'll close with a reward. It's a lot of tools for you to make use of whatever you gained as an awareness in this session to be able to apply it. So we'll see what is the definition for adaptability. adjusting to evolving dynamics while maintaining emotional balance and empathy. So, adaptability in relationship meaning your adjustment to evolving dynamics, because inside a family, family is full of people and people with different ages, different sizes, different likes, dislikes. Okay. How are we going to evolve ourselves to be able to balance that dynamic, to be embrace that strength and flaws in each and every individual, and to do, to maintain that emotional balance and empathy. It is, family bonds can be strengthened only when there is an understanding of each other's needs and wants, right? So we will see how adaptability as a skill is going to work out. Now, even though we are talking about adaptability, it is important that we need to take consideration of all the other skills. So I just spoke about emotional balance or agility and empathy, right? And I will be speaking about logical thinking as well. Now, you see how we are connecting both these brains and how are we connecting all the skill set we have been actually been discussing in this 60 episodes now. So even in future episodes, everything, every element will be interconnected. You just cannot say, okay, now we are talking about adaptability, I don't really have to think about the logical components. For example, problem solving or critical thinking, right? You may think that while I'm ready to adjust, I don't need to use the proactivity or critical thinking, which is a very analytical thinking, which is a very logically brain logically driven components. No, in fact, for you to arrive at adjustment, you need to be validated with that kind of data, right? Otherwise, you the foundation is not strong. I mean, otherwise, why you're doing what you're doing will not be strong. You will fizzle off after a certain time. You may use that adjustment for in the heat of that, spark of that inspiration or some motivation. But for you to sustain it, you need to have a backup of logical data as well. So we will see that. So now you understood the general definition. We're also going to be talking about left brain approach. So people who are watching this, you may be a left brain driven person. That means a logically approaching person. Or somebody could be right brain, which is emotionally approaching people. Now, emotionally, in the sense, I always want to let you guys know when you're dealing with emotional intelligence, and especially with emotional components, it doesn't mean that you get emotional about something. It's just that you are able to empathetically understand the emotional impact, or you are able to drive that emotional understanding through using your emotional brain, right? So right brain is giving you the spark of creativity, imagination, visualization, risk tolerance, that entrepreneurial spark. Okay, all that which is intangible is going to be your right brain. All that you can see coming out tangibly, it is all logical reference, talking about facts, figures, numbers, um, data, and trends. All that will be logically you can see through. But the ones which you cannot see through, you'll have to just feel it or sense it, is supposed to be the right brain component. So somebody who's watching this could be right brain driven, which means you're good with people, you're good with energy, vibes, and all that. But somebody, who's watching this could be midbrain as well. They are able to be taking both the blend. So there are three type of people who could be watching this episodes, and you may be from different walks of life as well. You may be a student, you may be a mom, you may be a career professional, you may be a business entrepreneur, but we all need adaptability. In fact, all the skill set that I will be discussing in the 100 episodes, we all need it at any point of time. It's just that we have to make sure that it is in your awareness, and you're going to tap into that by putting that in daily practice. Only when you practice, only when you're aware, you will be able to apply it. Because once you're not in, something is not in your awareness, you will not even know that it is existing. So forget about the application. Now, once you're aware, you need to be able to apply it as well. Otherwise, the awareness is of no use. Okay. So essentially, three secrets to emotional intelligence is to become aware, start applying that awareness, and align based on that outcome. Okay. Once you're aware, you're able to take actions. Now, what? After that is alignment to a larger purpose. Only then it's like a cycle, right? You become aware, you start taking action, and then you align. You align, immediately you will have to be also having that awareness while you're aligning. Because we are talking about brain skills, it may take you for a ride sometimes. We always say when we approach emotional intelligence through brain skills, we want to make sure, let's say this is your left brain, this is your right brain, like a bubble, okay? You don't want to go too much of you in your right brain skills itself, even though it is a strength, because this is your midbrain, and for you to come forward to your midbrain, it's going to take a long time when you go to extreme. Similarly, when you're logically driven, you don't want to go to the extreme side of being only logical, that you're ignoring the what do you call people component data. You don't want to miss emotional data. While you're working on your logical data, you want to take your emotional data as well, because you never know what kind of situations you are into in life, right? You may be dealing with boardroom meeting where you don't need that kind of emotional, you know, driving data. Okay, while we are deciding on the budget or policies and all that, why are we doing what we are doing is only for the people, or for your clients, or for your customers. So you do have to take into their data consideration, which means they are emotional. I mean, they are human being and they do have emotional components with them. Similarly, when you come to your family, you decide for your family vacation or something, you just cannot be like how you used to be in the boardroom. You'll have to come down, stay grounded and make sure that you listen to your family people, right? And your decision have to be aligned that way. So you need to be able to align it as well. So for you to get that flexibility in your brain itself, it is important to be in the midbrain. Okay. So let's see how your left brain is helping you in adaptability. You're going to use logical thinking to evaluate situations and find practical solutions. You see, even though we are trying to work the right brain skill called adaptability, you're going to use your logical brain to evaluate solution situations and find practical solutions. And your right brain approach says you're going to embrace emotional openness and willingness to compromise for harmony. Now, when we say emotional openness, a person can be logically open as well, which means they have their validation taken. They are, able to get their own justification as to why they're doing what they're doing, right? But there's also another component called emotional openness, which means you need to feel good to act on it, right? On a long term, you may want to do so for a peer pressure or for your parents, ask, or or maybe it is there out there as a rule, you are just abiding it, but you just cannot go for a long term, right? You will have that imbalances, so it is important to take that emotional acceptance in you. So embrace that emotional openness and willingness to compromise for that harmony. We are talking about family, strengthening the family bonds, so you need to be able to have that acceptance of those adjustments that you're doing. Otherwise it won't sustain. Let's see what are the strategies, but before it, we'll see what is the benefits of you being adaptable inside a family. One, you're going to strengthen your bonds. You're going to adjust evolving needs of your partners and family members. You're going to reduce the conflict by being open to more of compromise, leading to less friction. You're going to be more open to compromise, but with, which is something that is needed for a larger good. Thereby, you don't have any friction to move forward. Because if you have resistance, if you don't have that acceptance, you're going to move with friction. Friction is important, but with friction, you just cannot move. Okay. Better communication. You're also going to be having that flexibility to encourage open dialogue and deeper understanding. Okay. You will be open for dialogues. It is very, very important to have a healthy debate for any topic, include all members, have an open dialogue. Most of our family decisions, even if it may be having a small intensity, little intensity of need, but we make sure that we involve it should be an informed decision for everybody. So it's only me, my husband and my child. We stay in US right now. Even when we are in India with our parents, we want to make sure that all of us are aware of the decisions that we are taking, or even the communication for that matter. It really helps on a longer term, right? That way, we don't hesitate to approach each other. Okay. We always know that we are emotionally safe, that that kind of an environment it is important to have that open dialogue. That will only help you get into a deeper understanding of each other's likes, dislikes, patterns, thought process, feelings, and all that. And thereby, you're also striking a emotional balance towards it. Adapting to changes maintains the stability and lowers the stress. So when you can adapt to change, it only ensures the stability and lowers the stress, for people working around you, or it is as an individual, you don't work with friction. You work with less stress because you are okay to adjust. You're not the problem. When a person resists to adjust, when a person is not adaptable, they become the problem themselves. Okay, then naturally the stress will follow. Naturally, they will start burning the bridges with everybody around. Now, there could be a potential drawbacks when you want to start exercising this muscle called adaptability. Because we are dealing with brain skills, make sure that you are in functional mode, even with any kind of skill that you're trying to. Maybe it could be a strength in you already. You are a flexible person already. Make sure in the midbrain, which means you are aware, you can manage really well, and you can also align really well based on the larger outcome. But if you're too much of exercising the same strength in you, you're going to be missing this side of data. Your awareness could go haywire. You will not be able to adapt because you think it's your strength, and you may be overdoing on it. Okay. Now, what happens when you overdo on it? You're going to have some consequences. You need to know what could be the consequences of when you over being flexible. You're going to have a over compromising there. You are going to risk of neglecting your own desires and needs in the interest of adjusting for others' needs. Thereby, you will lead yourself to burnout. Okay. Then emotional fatigue. Constant adaptation can be draining if not reciprocated. There has to be a give and take. There has to be turns. There has to be people who energizes you. Okay. As much as you want to energize others by giving in, you also have to take energy from others. So you decide, right? You either create that internal source of energy or through outside. Sometimes you need both. But what proportion you would need, it all depends on your way of, conducting or creating that kind of an environment for you. When I say environment, it deals with people. You need to know who are those energy drainers and who are those energizers. Accordingly, you deal with people and make sure that you don't overdo on it. Otherwise, you'll be fatigued. Then you will become unclear of boundaries. Over adaptability may blur personal boundaries. Okay. You will not know because you are okay to adapt. You're okay to adjust. That means people do not know what exactly you need. In fact, you will not know what exactly your stance is. You need to be very clear in your values, in your goals, in your vision. And yet you are okay to include others because in your vision on a long term, you do have those people in your vision. Okay. So it is important. You need to have that kind of a long-term, vision or goal, or you be part of somebody else's long-term vision or goal. Either ways, it is going to be, good for you. And thereby flexibility can naturally happen. But neither of it, if you do not have a particular vision, and so you do not know what you're doing, why you're doing, neither you want to be part of somebody else's vision. It's going to be a disastrous. And then you will lose your identity. Adapting too much can also lose oneself. Okay. Not knowing what you want can also be a loss of identity. And too much of compromising can also be inauthentic for you. Okay. It's a very, very important concept that, especially women, as a busy mom, it is important to know that we don't have an over compromising area anywhere. We don't get into that stage. We don't want to be in that stage. So you need to be aware of all these, pros and cons. Then let's talk about why flexibility is important in relationship. Let me ask you, or let me talk about, first of all, if you don't have it, what happens? Relationship can become rigid. They are prone to conflict and emotional distance. Suppose you think your way is the highway and you're not, okay to even listen to your child's needs or that emotional impact. So as a child, they can grow obedient to a certain age, and after which they create their own personality, likes and dislikes. Okay. Hormonally also, they're changing. If you don't change your tweak your approach according to their age and their mentality, you're going to have a tough time. Daily, it'll be a chaos. But if you're a person who is used to it, then it'll be a chaos for the other person because they don't know what to expect from you. There'll be a lot of friction, and there will be naturally an emotional distance. You and yourself will be emotionally distant because you're not very clear in what you want and why is it all happening, because there's a lot of friction and resistance in you, and thereby it'll eventually demonstrate in people around you. They will distance from you emotionally even though they're physically available, right? But with adaptability, you're going to foster that resilience. You're going to come back, right? Race back. Even if you have done mistakes, you're going to come back because you need that kind of an understanding, and you offer that kind of an understanding. You will find people resilient coming back, provided you make them feel valued and supported. This will happen if you're flexible. Why are you flexible? Why do you say okay to something? Because you value that kind of a person or that effort. Okay, it could be for any goal, but as long as you are flexible inside you, that you're okay to let go, you're okay to accept that flaws in you and in others, then you don't become a problem. You flourish, okay, in any situations with any kind of people. Statistically also, the impact of the couples practicing adaptability experiences 43% higher relationship satisfaction. Okay, then comes who needs adaptability. As I already said, emotional intelligence it's an ocean by itself, and it is needed for all brackets of ages. But especially adaptability is important for couples facing life transitions like marriage, parenthood, or career shifts, and parents who are adapting to children's developmental stages and emotional needs, blended families, okay, managing new family dynamics and responsibilities. Now, this picture can tell you what kind of blending you would want, because family itself is a very different dynamics, right? A lot of people involved in it. Even if you're, living as a nuclear family, your own family will have a different age group of children, your spouse and you will have different perspectives, needs and wants. So it is by itself a unit with diversity and dynamics. So, as a parent, it is even more important for you to equip yourself with adaptability so that you can create a blended family. So, wherever you go, you will be able to embrace any age group of people, especially within your family. And then long-term partners seeking to evolve and grow together over time. Now, I'm talking about people from a culture where they get married for a long term, as a commitment. Even as a parent, we want to have children as a at least a 20 or 25 years project for us. And after that, they are on their own and they have their own family. But even then, we cater to their needs, right? This is why we want to have children. Okay. This is how we are culturally tuned, right? For us, the marriage and the family is of a long term commitment. So for those people, adaptability is a key. Adaptability in parenting. Now, this episode is dedicated to talk about how to strengthen bonds and relationship. Okay. So essentially, we're going to be talking about different kind of bonding using adaptability. And yesterday we spoke about how to have flexibility as a power in order to navigate challenges in life and work in general. Tomorrow we will have a different angle. But today we'll deep dive into strengthening different kind of relationship. Adaptability in parenting is going to help you in different stages. One, toddlerhood. It provides constant supervision and basic care. If you can be see, the moment you get married, we adapt, right? Only with adaptability, somebody can, peacefully get married. If they have their own agreements and, there are a lot of nuptial, consent and agreements have been, right now raising up. But in our culture, when we get married, we tune ourselves, right? To be able to enter into a new family system, to be able to adapt their family culture and norms, their likes and dislikes. So we adaptability starts even before marriage for us. We have been tuned that way. Even the men in the family, the moment they get married, they adapt. Until a bachelor life could be different, they immediately adapt. The responsibility kicks in. Okay. Now, once you become a mother, adapt your own body and soul is adapting, so you will naturally be able to adapt, right? And then comes childhood. You're going to offer and guidance and support for growing independence, right? So to that particular child during that entire period. And then when they become an adolescence, you're not just going to leave, uh, you know over here in US, it's a norm that 14 after 14 years to 16 years is when the child is actually, the teenager is actually gearing up to become a young adult, to take care of themselves independently. Okay. In fact, the state that I live in, they give a car driving license when they are 14 and 15, which means they can be on their own. But as a parent, we don't stop our responsibilities with that, right? It continues. So even in adolescence, we allow more autonomy while maintaining open communication. All right. Now, adaptability in marriages. Okay. So, during marriages, sometimes career changes between spouse, right? Anybody can have that career progression and it could be a career changes. So, how far spouse support each other's professional growth and adjust shared responsibility is an ongoing thing. And for that, adaptability definitely works. And then health challenges, providing care and emotional support during illness and recovery, very, very important. We all went through that as a common, you know, situation during pandemic, right? We helped each other. We were there for each other. We adapted to a situation, and we extended our emotional support to each other. So similarly, financial setbacks, especially during the transition, working together to adjust budget and lifestyle as needed, there also you will see adaptability kicking in. There could be many areas, but in the interest of time, I'm just picking these three areas in marriage. Now, in blended families, where you have a joint family, you have different set of people are living, you're going to have adaptability kicking in initial integration, establishing new family routines and boundaries. Very, very important. And then building relationship in that kind of a situation where you're going to foster connections between step parents and stepchildren. Okay. And then long-term harmony. You're going to maintain flexibility as family dynamics to evolve over time. You're going to have patience, faith. You're going to, let it go. You're going to watch and observe, give proper feedback, and you're going to strengthen that based on the long-term vision, not to just logically approach and then get it over, right? Adaptability is a skill to work for a long-term harmony, right? Now, adaptability in caregiving roles. There are many families who are, the parents are very busy professionals, so they will have some caregivers. So on that note, you're going to have adaptability. If you're a caregiver, it is important to give that it is important to have that skill in you as well. Where you can apply that, when you are supposed to give an emotional support, you're going to provide empathy and understanding for that care recipient who receives. It could be a small child, a toddler, or it could be an aged person. And you're going to have a practical adjustment. You're going to modify daily routines to accommodate caregiving responsibilities. Obviously, right? If it's your responsibility, you'll have to modify that way. And then self-care. Maintain personal well-being while caring for others. Now, typically, every mom is a caregiver. Okay. Any caregiver becomes a very critical person themselves, and it is important to take care of their personal well-being also. Then comes adaptability in long distance relationship. Okay. Now that there are a lot of possibilities opened up, and even the couples are living apart from each other, way up, away from each other, handling kids on their own, and there is a lot of compromise happening. Okay. But again, are we over compromising it? Or we are doing it because we are taking that short-term pain for a long-term gain? That is a question. That is an intention that you need to have a check in. You're going to have a communication skills there. You're going to schedule a regular video calls to maintain that emotional connection. It is important to have that connection, even for the children. If suppose the father is staying away, it is important to have that connection for your children and for your wife. It's the vice versa as well. And then time management, navigating time zone difference for quality interaction is a key. Okay, we need to learn. And of course, right now, remote work possibilities have opened up, and with technology, we can always contact any global, point of reach. So, in which case, we should be able to manage that time. Okay, then trust building. You're going to foster trust through open communication and shared goals. Now, interesting thing is about brain hacks. Now we got to know what is flexibility in relationship, importance of it, pros and cons, where you can apply and all that. Now we'll talk about brain hacks. Okay. You may be a left brain driven person. So what is the right brain hack? So that you can activate the right brain. You may be the right brain, good in understanding people's emotions and your own emotions, but you may leave the logic data behind it. So you may want to fill in that gap. So what is that brain hack? And what could be the hack for both the brains? So let's see one by one. The first hack is the right brain activity. So where you're going to practice empathy skills. Okay, we've done good amount of episodes on empathy skill itself. Okay, I would highly recommend you to watch through that. It's in the previous episodes. Over there, I would have given a lot of strategies, a lot of examples, a lot of case studies. Okay, if you want to go deep dive into it, you can check that. Now, for you to practice empathy, you're going to have active listening. Okay, pay attention to partner's needs without judgment. Then when we are talking about empathy, right brain, we're essentially talking about emotional understanding, awareness, impact of it. Okay. You're going to raise your emotional awareness, recognize and validate your partner's feeling. You can do that only when you can recognize your own feelings. Somebody is not aware of their feelings, they can still be empathetic, but you know what? It's not going to last long. Eventually, they will feel self-sabotaged. Okay, there's something vacuum in them. So it is important to work on the self and others component when you're dealing with emotional intelligence. And then there is a compromise. You're going to find mid ground. Okay, compromise for each party. You're going to take turns. You're going to have a give and take. So you're going to have a mid ground that respects both the partner's needs. Okay, 3 steps. When you want to practice empathy with your partner, active listening, emotional awareness, don't judge, just listen to it and validate their feelings, compromise when it's required. Then setting healthy boundaries, that's your left brain. Okay, you need to first of all able to identify where you're losing your energy, where is the draining happening. Okay, it could be draining of time, effort, money, resources, people. It could be anything. As long as you're able to identify the need, you can recognize the personal limitations that is required. Then the next step is to communicate clearly. Hey, you know what? Something is going wrong. Should we continue this tomorrow? I might have to rush. So can I do this tomorrow? So that is a clear cut boundary. Okay, at least you are able to communicate. Otherwise, you just step your own boundaries and then you feel guilty about rushing or not having to complete the rest of the things because you spent, more than enough time with this person or that situation, which was not needed. So you need to be able to communicate clearly, express that boundaries respectfully to family members, even though it's your own favorite child. You should be able to put across, you know what, mama is just now busy. In next 2 hours, I'll finish all that work I have, and then we'll be sitting with you the rest of the time. That way, the child will also be expecting, and they will also adjust. Okay. Then you're going to also maintain consistency. When you say 2 hours, you maintain that. Okay, that is integrity and as well as consistency. So people around you will exactly know what to expect from you. If you have that consistency, you may be one day, focused, and the next day you are into something else. So neither will you understand what you need, or the people around you cannot understand what they need from you. So you need to uphold that boundaries while adapting to new roles as well. You just cannot say, you know what, I'm switching over to the another activity for which I'm going to be available for the entire day. Now your child will get confused. Okay. Now yesterday she was doing a video, so she was very busy. Now today there is no video, so she's going to be free. So they will approach accordingly. If you don't have that consistency, even the people around you, for a child or for an adult, will be having unclear ideas. So it is important to set healthy boundaries for yourself, be able to communicate. Open communication strategies, it involves both the brain activity. What you're going to do is you're going to have a regular check-ins. You're going to schedule for open discussions about family dynamics, especially with a larger number of people. It is important to have that open dialogue and have a schedule, right? You can call each other because nowadays the mobile gadgets have invaded the space and time even during dinner table conversations. So it is important to put that value system in place and have this as practice consistently. Have a regular check-in. Somebody is not feeling well or, not really gelling well in the family. There could be some problem in, it could be a teenager, it could be a toddler, it could be an adult. Just make sure that you have that regular check-in until that emotional impact is addressed. Okay. And then active listening, focusing on understanding before responding. It is important. That is how we, become adaptable. It is not always what we want to advise. It is, empathy is always about listening. First, listen and then be able to solve the problem. And emotional honesty. I love this word called emotional honesty. I didn't realize the fact that anything can be broken into logical and emotion. Okay. So that is how I have devised the entire episodes of, dealing. You take any skill which can be dissected. For example, resilience. We started off looking at resilience, even logical resilience and emotional resilience. Typically, adaptability also, logical adaptability is there, and emotional adaptability. And now honesty, emotional honesty, sharing feelings openly and respectfully. It is emotional honesty. Now, logical honesty could be within themselves. You know, they follow what you know they think it's true and fair. That could be their honesty, and they stick with their words. That could be their honesty. But emotional honesty is more about sharing feelings and their likes and dislikes openly and respectfully, right? Then comes flexibility and patience. We are talking essentially about developing flexibility, but then along with patience. That's your right brain activity. You're going to embrace change, view transitions as opportunities for growth, first of all, because that's how you'll start accepting it. And then you're going to allow adjustment of time. Recognize that adapting to new situations takes time. That is where you're going to build, patience, faith in each other. Support each other during that uh, transition. Offer that emotional support during challenging transition. It could be for a child. If you may be relocating, relocation is it's going to be huge for everybody. Especially when you have a family, it's going to have a lot of implications. Even for a child, make sure that you support each other that on that emotional impact. Okay. And then long-term growth focus. So when we are dealing with a relationship, our focus is on long-term, right? Anything we, short-term, we don't have to much focus on it. It'll just be a logical approach of getting things over. But for a long term, you need to take blend of both logical and emotional impact of it. You're going to have a shared goals, develop and work towards a common family objectives. In fact, you need to have a common code of honor, common value systems. Like you need to, take into consideration of what people are very strong and what are their strengths and flaws and what as a family you need to have. Okay. So for example, in our family, for me personally, freedom is important, family is important, and service is important, right? But for my husband, it could be different. But when we come as a family, we derive something else new because we need to inculcate the same values in our child. And when he or she grows up, they will come up with some values. We need to abide that. We need to be flexible to include that. You see how flexibility happens at every stage of life, and it is important. Thereby, we are personally growing, supporting individual growth within the family as a unit. Individual also grows and the family also grows. Okay. So, relationship investment. So, you can consider this as a relationship investment. You're going to have a view of challenges as an opportunities to strengthen bonds. That is how you can exercise adaptability. Now, a case study. Okay. This is an interesting episode, section in this episode. For each and every episode, each and every skill, we pick up successful personality as to how they are demonstrating this particular skill. Now, in this case, she's my favorite actress. She's an Indian born actress. In fact, she's a South Indian, properly, born and brought up in Bangalore. But the laurels that she had gotten to the country is immense, and she's a superstar, globally recognized. In fact, she was a Miss World, Miss India, Miss World, sometime in 2000 or before that. So from there on, she has been in my radar. I mean, she's been my model, not just for the beauty, the way she carries herself, also the talents. Imagine for the pigeon contest, how bold are you supposed to be, in terms of your outlook, in terms of your approach, and how did this person from all the way from South India to be able to cross all the boundaries and uh, you know make through a lot of things. So after that, she became a super duper rock star in films, and she also traveled through Hollywood and acted in a lot of movies. So she does have a huge fan base, an influential position. She is an ambassador for a lot of women initiatives, but most importantly, she's a family person. She got married to another rock star, and she has a daughter. And most intriguing is to understand how her brain skills worked as an individual and as a family person. Okay, so how did she balance her career, successfully managing the film career while prioritizing her family time and emotional intelligence components? Like, she's able to maintain that strong family bonds through empathy and support, even though she's super duper busy actress, and she must have got a lot of public demands. And how did she manage all that? And then, being a public persona, how did she adapt gracefully to evolving roles in public eye? Very, very important, right? I've never seen her yelling or losing her self-control in any of these interviews, especially with interviews where a lot of racism questions asked. How did she handle it gracefully? And the way she handles her fans, erratic fans, and the way she handles every questions that at least I've watched her on TVs or magazines or shows. How did she handle herself despite of having that kind of a highly pressured roles like she played, or in person she is part of a Bachchan's family, which is they are legacy actress, and they have their own fame and recognition. So it is important to maintain the family legacy as well. So her own individual recognition is huge by itself, and her family, and then her blended family. So as a woman, it is intriguing to know what could be the brain talents, right? So that is how I went into, studying case study on her. And I could understand there could be a lot of skills, but essentially, if you want to adapt that kind of a skill set, all you have to do is a couple of things that we can manage is time management skills. In that, you're going to concentrate on three things. Okay, first is when you want to organize yourself, you need to be organizing. See, there's nothing called time management. How you organize yourself, you can organize your time as well. So what we have to do is prioritize, identify most important task and relationship. Especially as a woman, we always put ourselves in the least priority. So we need to change that. Okay, we need to have that give and take there. So you need to prioritize and then schedule it. Okay, allocate time for both career and family commitments, and as well as the self care. Then delegate what you cannot do, what you feel overwhelming. Please, communicate and delegate. Share responsibility to maintain balance. If you can, outsource it. That's the best. If you cannot, delegate or delete it. Okay, that's the formula that I found out. And then emotional intelligence in relationship can work in three ways: self-awareness, recognizing and understanding your own emotions and others' emotions; empathy, understanding and sharing of feelings, yours and with others. Okay. And then regulation also. You will have to find out how to manage your own emotions first so that you will be able to extend that support for others. Then comes being a servant leader in family is very, very important. Naturally, as a mother, we serve like that, but it is important to have that awareness that support your family, prioritizing their members' well-being and growth as well as yours. You're going to inspire them by leading by example in adaptability and empathy. And then collaborating. You're going to work together to overcome challenges and achieve goals. Okay. Adapting to different life stages is also important. As a young adult, you need to balance personal growth with building relationship. And as a parenthood, you need to be adjusting new responsibilities with that of a family dynamics. And then when it is time to empty the nest, it is redefining relationship as children leave home. You see how beautifully life, nature, puts you in that spot to adjust. Anyway, you need to adjust. All of us our elders are classical example of all these skill set in them. That is why emotional intelligence is always around you. You don't have to look for outside case studies or outside examples. Your own elders in the family have would have gone through all this, right? If you just sit and eat their brains is when you will understand, oh, okay, they have applied adaptability. They have been, emotionally agile. They exactly know, when a member of the family is hungry and what exactly they have to, cook food in what ways they like. And when the moment a child wakes up, right, the mother knows. Similarly, an elder in the family will definitely know. Okay, I'm talking about elderly women. I don't know how their frequency really works, that they are very good with networking. They are, you don't have to really teach them what is networking. They exactly know what is happening in their neighborhood. They also know what is happening in their family. Okay, emotionally and objectively. Okay, so I really enjoyed these insights because I really like to eat brain skills, brain talents from other people, because it is important to adapt at some point of time. We might as well do it when the time is, ripen. And then cultural adaptability in relationship is also important. Okay, respecting differences, acknowledging and appreciating diverse cultural patterns, because now the world is open up. It's all right now mixed culture marriage, and different kind of personality, they get come together, you know maybe for a short term or for a long term. They respect each other's differences. Even in education, or at work or in families, you see these cultural diversities happening. It is important to apply that adaptability. How? Respecting the differences. You know, acknowledge and appreciate. So it is very important. Two things. You're going to acknowledge and appreciate their stories, their wins, their backgrounds, right? We just have to validate their feelings, right? We don't have to judge. Similarly for us, you acknowledge your own feelings, you appreciate, right? And you expect the give and take from other person, and have an open dialogue. Okay, discuss cultural expectations and find a common ground if you're in a blended family, and then embrace that learning. Be willing to learn about and participate in each other's traditions is also important. That is how you can adapt to each other's culture, starting from food, their dress, their apparels, their customs, their rituals, the way of conducting themselves. Everything needs, uh, it's very dynamic, and it requires adaptability at each point of time. And then technology and adaptability also. I gave a classic example of how pandemic had given us a lesson of adaptability, right? Especially after that, AI is disrupted, and how are we going to adapt? Right from our schools, colleges, career, family. A lot of homes have Alexa, Siri. A lot of gadgets have come in place. In fact, in US, they're going to be having robots walking around doing a lot of analytics for us. Okay, so how are we going to adapt? Right, digital communication. You're going to use technology to stay connected with distant families, right? A lot of people are, making a video calls, and they're pretty okay to come on social media and exchange information, right? We are seeing that in booming, rising, and the entire nation is driving towards email payments or phone pay payments. Even a small time vendor is using the digital payment methodology. So it is a good thing, right? It is a revolutionized methods of how a country can get developed, how we are embracing the technology changes, and online resources, accessing relationship advice and tools for better adaptability. Thereby, there's a lot of coaches. You can find coaches for anything, any domain of life. In fact, I would suggest, have a coach for your fitness, have a coach for your emotional intelligence, like this, have a coach for your financial advising, have a coach for your, marriage consulting. So it is important even for parenting. So the more you have guidance and mentorship, of course, for business and career, okay, the more you have for guidance and mentorship for all these domains of life, you are in a proper direction, and it is very easy for you to align your goals and dreams, okay, and have that balance. Maintain healthy boundaries between digital and in-person interactions as well. So although it is happening on online, we lack that live interaction energy. So that can never be compromised, but you need to bring that balance. At this point of time, if you have questions like, do I remain open, emotionally open during changes? How well do I adjust to my partner's need? Do I maintain clear communication? There are so many questions in your mind. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to give you a gift. Okay, it's called EQ Quest bundles. I'm also going to give you a 100% free coupon code for you to use it. First of all, let me tell you what is EQ Quiz bundles. A person, an individual will have a lot of questions like this. It's called a self-discovery. Okay, we need to understand. Okay, now I showed you importance of this, strategies, the skill set, and I also showed you hacks, and I also showed you somebody who's successfully doing this. Now, in your mind, there may be a question whether am I already doing this, or do I have to fill this gap? So for that, I have devised a self-assessment quiz for each and every episode that I'm doing. Because today's episode is exclusive for, even though it is adaptability repeated, but it is an angle towards a parent or a person who is trying to strengthen their family bonds. It is exclusive for, for this kind of a purpose. With that of how you are showing your adaptability in career and business, that's going to be different. So for each and every episode, I'm going to be preparing a self assessment quiz, but it's going to take time. Imagine for 100 episodes, if I have to prepare, even if I'm going to use some tools, it's going to take some time and logistics and space and all that. So I will be putting up a cost for it, but it's going to be available for you. If you're listening to this episode, I'm going to give you free of cost, 100% free, for lifetime access. You can take that quiz any number of times for any episodes, for any skill set. And in fact, you can retake as many as times that you want, because sometimes you may be taking this quiz now. You may be working on this adaptability skills as a mom, as a parent. And like next 1 year later, you may want to understand how far have you passed through. So you can again come and take this quiz. Okay. However, all you have to do is give me top 3 learnings that you have gained in this episode. Okay. You're going to put that as a comment. So when I see your comments, I'm just going to give you a shout out in the comments itself and ask you for your email ID. I'm going to give you the 100% free coupon code on your email ID. With that, you can take an access. But suppose you're feeling like it's going to be available for free to you. Once I finish the 100 episodes, it'll be out there for a cost. Okay, so please make use of it. And you may be asking that there could be a workshop where I will reveal the brain styles. Okay, because we are talking about brain skills, I'm going to be revealing what exactly comes as a brain style report, and you will be able to identify your own unique brain style. But that's going to be exclusive for women. So there is a workshop link given here. Whenever it's going to happen, it will get notified, so please register yourself. So this workshop will give you an idea. If somebody wants to go deeper and want to get this adaptability in action, then that's the place where you have to be. So in this 2-3 hours of workshop, I'm going to be decoding what is there in your brain styles and how can you access your brain styles and what are the advantages, and how you can go grow from your brain styles. Because if you have been watching this 60 episodes, you will now know there is something towards logical brain and emotional brain that we need to develop. But over there in the workshop, it will be even more revealing, because I'm going to be talking about, showing you an AI-driven report-based concrete data point. Okay. So it's going to be an interacting, fun, totally different perspective towards emotional intelligence. So jump into it. If you're a woman, you have this ticket open for you. It'll be there out there for a cost. Check that link. You will come to know what are the details. And for anybody else who's watching, there are a lot of free resources. Of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel right now, what is happening here, and also future episodes. Subscribe to my Spotify, which is coming on to you free as a podcast. Then there is Substack, where I'm revealing emotional intelligence as a storyfied format. And LinkedIn and Instagram give you a shorter reels and all that. So there's a lot of things coming on. And it'll help you keep growing. And imagine adaptability in your life. And adaptability is not essentially not only the skill set needed for a adult only. It is needed for any age group, and relationship is like rivers, right? um, it is dynamic by itself. So you may want to think that I'm just a school student or a fresh graduate. Why would I need to know all these angles? Yeah, it may be true, but eventually you will also be getting into this direction. And trust me, even in your current scenarios, when you're dealing with your friendships or associations or in your academic environment, you definitely need the skill set. That is why emotional intelligence is called as a 21st century skill set at all. So, for you to keep yourself in a flow state so that you can change your course when you want, you can be blending and evolve with time. If you are with a resistance, then you cannot be adaptable. So by staying adaptable is when you creating a foundation of trust to with whoever you interact with. And understanding and growth can happen only when you can adapt. So if you found this kind of an episode helpful, please do press that like button, show me some love, and also share it with somebody whom you think it's most needed, because they may be navigating tough situations in their relationship. So they may need to hear this more. Okay. I'll see you